Okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. My name is Scott, and with me today is Trina Paulus, author of Hope for the Flowers, and we have an extra special treat for you today. I guess treat might be the right word, but this is kind of a more serious topic that we're going to be talking about. So I would say, Trina, first of all, hi, glad to see you. This was quite an effort getting here, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness, Scott. Technology is a wonderful help, but has its problems.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say, well, yeah, problems, challenges, those sorts of things. Um, you've been giving a lot of thought about what's been going on lately, and you had an interview several years ago that I just finished editing down to about 3 minutes, which is kind of the essence of what you and the reporter had talked about. But before we go to that, I think you have some things on your mind that you want to talk about. So it's all yours.
Thank you. That's the theme today is really about the children of Abraham, the Jewish, Christian, Muslim tradition coming out of Abraham. And that has inspired me and troubled me with the story of Abraham and Isaac for years. This is my little statue here that I made. It's not so little, it is very heavy, made in ceramics many years ago. And Scott is going to show the picture of the great big one, which is 6.5 foot high. That took a year of my life to do. So why was I so preoccupied? This awful story between a father getting ready to kill his son has made me wonder what it was about. And it's made Kierkegaard write a book called Fear and Trembling, if you want to read more about this horrendous experience. And we are sitting in the middle of a cataclysm happening, a true genocide going on as we speak. And I'm part of it as an American, helping with my taxes and my being. And so I'm trying to do what I can. And so I'm bringing up my own art today as a testimony about this whole problem, because the children of Abraham seem to have love as their heart, as all of the great religions do of the world. Love, and it's shown here by the arm of the Father around the Son. And on the other hand, he has a knife. And all three of our traditions, the Jewish, the Christian, and the Muslims, seem to have that proclivity. We're responsible to so much of the problem, and that the West has sinned against the Jews and has asked the Arabs to do the penance. And then what's going on right now is just horrendously awful and involves me as an American because we supply the armaments for this slaughter. 10,000 Palestinians trapped in a prison with a choice between whether to stay and be killed there or to try to go someplace where there's no place to go and be killed on the road or when they get there. It's a bad choice. It's an impossible choice. I remember seeing the movie Sophie's Choice. And we have choices as an American. And so we can help try to stop this. So I've gotten a very inadequate response back from Biden after I called that office, and a bad response after my own representative. And I just will keep trying, belonging to the Jewish Voice for Peace. And I'm pulling up my own artwork from the past for this. And of course, one of my reasons for being preoccupied is that there's another father and son experience, which is our Heavenly Father and Jesus. And Jesus didn't fight back. He became the lamb. And in the Abraham story, when God reached out and said, don't touch his son, they found a ram. So Jesus is the Lamb of God that gave his life voluntarily, but in the agony in a garden said, Father, if it be possible, let this chalice pass from me, but not my will, but thine be done. And this is tough stuff. This is the heart of everything to think about these days. How you deal with these incongruities and with these dilemmas and with these powerful stories. So, Scott, I think you can roll that. And now, if there's a little time, I'll talk some more about this whole thing. Remember, we are all Semites. Pope Pius XI during the war, the Second World War, said we are all spiritually Semites, and the Jews and the Muslims, and they're not a Muslims. You can be anything to be a Muslim, any race, but the Jews and the Arabs are both Semite people, and Ismail is the other child of Abraham. So we have this tremendous dilemma right now, which in my mind can separate the world into East versus West and West versus East. And I think we don't know what we're doing. We just don't know what we're doing when we foster something like this. Okay, Scott, do roll it, please.
Okay, here we go.
Over here, you'll see a hand with the knife in it. And here you'll see the with his son. And the mystery of this relationship, I can show you the picture that I pulled out of just the two heads looking at each other. The Muslims put a great emphasis also on Isaac's willingness to be sacrificed. I've done a lot of thinking about this over the years, and a lot of thinking about the great Christian mystery of the crucifixion and resurrection, and that the very unpleasant thing that God can ask everything of us sometimes, which is so hard to deal with. And the whole mystery of why we die and why we sometimes die so miserably and what that's supposed to mean. There's no easy answers to a thing like this. I like to think that this is the last time, and the whole fact that he didn't sacrifice his son, and that a substitute was substituted then, that this is the last time that human sacrifice was possibly asked for, not that it was blessed. But it's a total mystery there, how somebody could be willing to sacrifice their son. But I know that this was common in history, that early history, that people did sacrifice their firstborn son and everything. It was first modeled in clay, and then sections were sawed off when I was basically finished. Before I put some of the details on, sawed off the back, sawed off the bottom. And I have a wonderful slide of my mother and father. They were very supportive all my life, and they came and we pulled all the clay out of this. So in spite of how big it is, it's movable.
I'm looking at the face of the father and how much he loves the son, and he knows what he's about to do.
I like to think that with Jesus and the cosmic Christ, which we have now throughout our life, and what we're supposed to be, Gerard Manley Hopkins, Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and eyes not his, to the Father, through the features of men's faces. That's the Father and the Son relationship that I think we need to have. We are Christ today. There is no Jesus walking on earth. It's the Spirit of God that fills us, and we're to be the loving representatives. And I don't see how war and violence and taking advantage over others is reflective of any of that.
Well, there you go.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you for that. That's one of the major videos that was ever taken of me and my art. So I appreciate David Miller from Loveland and the lovely person who interviewed coming and asking to do that. And so here I have the other one. It's an interesting little phenomenon that during its travels around, the knife was broken off. And so I never fixed it that way. But I'd rather have it there with the hand down without the knife blade in it. But there it is. the blade that needs to be put back on here. And so let's think about that. Let's think about that, what we mean. Because most of us watching this will be, in some ways, the children of Abraham, of the tribe of Abraham. And how are we going to handle it? What are we going to do now? Can we see what's happening in front of our eyes and our own part of this? And try to say, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be anymore. Let's forget that old stuff. An eye for an eye, or 5 eyes for 1 eye, or whatever is going on. Ethnic cleansing, and any kind of disparities like that. I was really so blessed to be raised with parents who I never heard say a bad word about another group of people. Never. It's pretty amazing. I thought everybody grew up like that, but I guess they didn't. So how are we doing for time, Scott? Where are we at?
Okay, we're right on time. We're about 11 minutes into the show, but this is the sort of thing that, just say what you feel that needs to be said and shared during this time, and then that should be enough. So, do you have any additional or closing thoughts, Trina?
Find a place where you can put yourself. One of the most useful things I've seen so far is Dennis Kucinich, who was in Congress for many years. He wrote something that he titled "Thou Shalt Not Kill," and what he puts it in a very clear way. What this is headed toward, if we don't stop it soon, is the division between the East and the West, and that's something that I don't think that life on Earth would be able to survive if that comes to pass, because all these countries are nuclear armed. And what an awful thought that is. And we can do something about it. We, especially as Americans, we can get on and fight for peace. Fight for peace. And I like my little saying that D.H. Lawrence said, "Thou shalt fight as a flower fighteth upward through the stones, to flower in the sun at last. For the yearning of the Lord streameth as the sun, even upon the stones." So let's just fight through the stones, not each other, but fight through the stones that hold back the flowering and give us hope for the flowers. And that's really what my book is all about. Not crawling over others, but daring to become our true selves and choosing to share radically. Not forced, but sharing radically. So perhaps that is enough for today.
And just thank you so much, Trina. And just a real quick reminder, if you'd like to communicate with us, if you have anything to say, one way to do it is to go to hopefortheflowers.com and navigate to comments and be able to communicate with Trina directly at that time. And thank you so much for viewing today. And Trina, thank you so much for sharing what
and Scott, if people want to join our Facebook group, it's called Hope for the Flowers Revolution, and they can get on that also by going to the website, hopefortheflowers.com, and join it that way. And this is on that. This is broadcast on that as well as YouTube. So it's a way to get in touch that way.
Absolutely. So just a real quick reminder, we're on every Monday at 2:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Pacific Time, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone again next week.
And thank you so much,